My name is Maarten van der Schaaf. I'll be the moderator of these sessions here. Do I talk too loud in your ears, or you can manage yourself? I'm a journalist and do moderating sessions like this. We have 3 sessions with 2 researchers every time. And we're going to start off with these 2 wonderful people here. And the first researcher who's going to present what she's doing is Kristin Bulting. She is a 4th year student at Saxion in Enschede. And she's going to talk to us about something exciting, what we also see here. So Kristin, warm welcome to you. Please give her a hand.
Yeah, so welcome. My name is Christine and I'm a fashion and textile technology student from Saxion University in Enschede. As my bachelor thesis, I developed a smart suit for children that can track their movement.
You have also one for me,
and my
because
research took place in cooperation with several hospitals and research institutions. The reason that I conducted this study is that children who are born too early face a high risk of underdeveloped motor skills. By mapping their movement at an early age, motor skill disabilities can be identified and intervention strategies introduced. By equipping the children with motion trackers, an enhanced insight should be provided into their motor skill development. Usually they conduct a test at the hospital at the age of 3, 6 and 9 years, where a physiotherapist observes how they conduct different exercises, like the ones in the picture. The physiotherapist only observes how well they perform during these tasks, for example, how long they can stand on one leg, or how often they can manage to catch the ball. The overall goal of the study was to improve and automate the assessment by using motion trackers at hospitals. Therefore, 12 wireless Avinda sensors were integrated into the smart suit, and it was supposed that the suit can be adjusted to different body measurements. Therefore, the sensors are detachable. Usually, the sensors are attached with those black straps that you can see in the picture. However, this is only designed for adults, and a more child-friendly alternative was required. Therefore, I designed the suit to provide the children with a more child-friendly design and to enhance the fun factor of the assessment at the hospitals. So I conducted research based on 4 aspects. First, I investigated different constructions for the suit, and here it was a great challenge to stabilize the sensors. Then I looked into different materials, and I researched an appealing design for the children. Therefore, I conducted trend research, and I also talked to children at primary schools, and it came out that a great trend at the moment exists around the theme of superheroes. Based on a list of requirements, I tested the suit to guarantee that it's safe to use with the young target group. So the solution of this research was to integrate and stabilize the sensors with those blue straps. They have a loop-based surface on which the sensors can be attached with their hook-structured surface. The straps can be adjusted to different body size, as it can be closed precisely with the extension of the Velcro straps. And then I also took up the superhero design and integrated into the final prototype. And I asked the children how they would design their own suits, and they gave me many examples. And based on this, I found out that the children have very broad preferences. And therefore, I decided to add the suit with a customizable feature so they can decide between different logos which can be attached to the chest with Velcro. Yeah, that's it from me. Thank you very much. And please feel free to ask any questions.
Kristin, one of the things I'm wondering, with how many kids have you asked? Because I can imagine that there are so many superheroes around. How many kids have you asked to do this research?
Yeah, I went to 2 different classes at primary schools, and we had a class set up where I discussed the general topic of superheroes. we discussed what superheroes are their favorites and how a superhero suit should look. And then I gave each of them like the drawing in which they could design their own suit. So in the end I had 40 drawings.
This is a bit annoying because I have to put this thing on and off, but okay. At what stage is this now, the research? How will the future look like? What's the next step?
Yeah, we already tried the suit at the hospital with the sensors and measured a child using it during the assessment. And we got some very valuable output. And yeah, at this moment I would say that the suit could already be implemented, but it still needs some further testing that really verifies that the sensors are stable integrated in a stable way so that the measurements are reliable.
Okay, we want to continue with the next speaker and then we have a discussion with the two of them together. So thank you for now, please have a seat and I want to introduce the next speaker. Kees Tesselhoff, who has been with Saxion for 20 years. And he's going to talk to us about his latest research.
You have my presentation. Is my presentation ready?
Thank you.
If you Here we are, Kees. It's all arranged. No worries. Well, and he's going to talk to us about one of the most exciting new technologies. We've seen a lot in the media, of course, blockchain. Kees, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I'm happy that I can tell something about my research. I'm a PhD candidate at the Open University, and I'm also a member of the lectorate blockchain, what is from the 1st of February of this year started within Saxion. I do my research about the implementation of blockchain. I did before some research about implementations within an organization, and then we talk about ERP system, enterprise resource planning systems. They are very complex, but are only related to an organization. The blockchain itself is not only for one organization, but had to do with many organizations. It is over the organization organized. So probably we have different opportunities and challenges within the blockchain. What I do now, and I did research with a group of students from last February to figure out what will be the added value and what are the conditions for implementing a new application, a new blockchain within an organization. So I started with the main question to them: what is the added value to implement a blockchain, and what are the conditions to implement a blockchain? Because we can start introducing a blockchain, but we see that we have different problems within the different organizations. So I split up my question into 5 topics. The topics had to do with the implementation. I discovered within earlier research that we have certain phases within an implementation. You have to figure out yourself as an organization, as a manager, to know what you have doing. I will explain very shortly what is the blockchain. I'm not a technician, so I can imagine that you don't understand all the technician parts, so I will only tell you what is a blockchain and what can be the impact for an organization or for the people related to a blockchain. The main focus for me is about complexity and the stakeholders, people who are involved in the blockchain, what they believe in it, and what will be the added value and the conditions. And especially the last part, I like to look for to some suggestions of you that you can help me in my journey in the PhD trajectory, because the conditions is very hard for me to discover. So I hope you can help me with the discussion. Oh. This is the first phases. The implementations we discovered for an internal application implementation had to do with 6 phases. The first one is the initiation. I always mention it is the way of thinking. Believe people heard about the blockchain, heard about new technologies, and they like to add it to their company, but they don't know what to do and how to do. So from the initiation, we continue for the adoption, the second phase. The adoption is that people go for a festival like this, go for a congress, read journals. They will look for information about, in my situation, the blockchain, to inform themselves about the possibilities. In adoption, you think about it. You are not looking for solutions, you only look for what can we do with it. And maybe you can also go for an advice for a consultant or something, but it had to do in the pre-phase. At the moment you are from adoption, you go into a more realized situation, then we come up to the adaptation, and in the adaptation you start thinking about realizing the implementation within your organization. So from this moment you start thinking of a plan of approach, a budget, you will think of a situation that you can convert it to your company. From the adaptation, then all things are planned and you're scheduled, you make your employees available, you can involve them within the implementation, you inform them what they can expect and what they have to do. You come up to the phase of acceptance. Then it will be accepted by your company, or in this situation within the blockchain, because the blockchain is not only related to one company, because you have to do with many people and organizations around you. So we come up to the acceptations phase, and then it will be a part of your company, a part of the employees, a part of the management. And if you have the acceptance phase, then you come to the internal aspect and it becomes routine. And as it becomes routine, it means then you can go into fine-tuning. You will look for what can we do to improve the situation. And the infusion phase will be forgotten many times within organizations, had to do with evaluation. You have to look back what you did wrong or what you can improve the next time for a new application implementation or whatever kind of implementation. So in my opinion, it is essential that you know the implementation phases to make sure that you have the right information or the right data and information on the right places to make the correct decisions. After the implementation, I'd like to tell you something about the blockchain. I'm not going into that much detail because for me and for many people, a blockchain is nothing else than a database. You can store data, you can store transactions, you can store, for example, your identity. You can store documents. I did a research with my students, and the students discovered that it was very essential for the company we researched to know what kind of documents are and what time in your supply chain relevant and which stakeholders belong to them, because the stakeholders within the blockchain need the information, need the data to make a decision to buy or not to buy certain products. For the research we did, we had to do with a coffee bean from Peru, a very special coffee bean with fair trade, biological, all kind of biological tests. So it is not the normal bean, but an exceptional bean. And especially the customers in the Netherlands want to know if it is the bean they ordered. So they like to know from the beginning of seeding, from harvesting, from producing up to the transport to the Netherlands, they like to know what's happening with the bean. And the blockchain can help. We don't know yet. We are now looking for the conditions, we are looking for the added value. The manager of the business said, we implement it, whatever happened, we will implement it. But I said, yeah, I'm a researcher, what is the added value to implement this for your customers? Because you can also use a very cheaper system, a very more exciting system than a blockchain. The blockchain had the possibility that you can, when you put in your information, your data, it cannot be changed. That's what we call immutable. So if I transfer data from the farmer or the producer into the chain, it will be into the chain and we cannot change it. Only with the agreement of both parties you can change, but we are not changing the original document. We will change the agreement. So there will become a new transaction in your system, in your blockchain, and that will be added to it. So all the history is still available. So you also know what was the first agreement made, but also you know what changed in the system. Now the blockchain itself is not hackable. The chain itself is not hackable, but you see in front and at the end, we have to make a connection with the chain. And at that moment, and that's for me as a researcher important, you have to know what can we do to provide that we cannot be hacked. Now, had to do with cryptography, so you have to make sure that you have the PIN codes, yeah, because we are talking about a kind of a business card, a payment card. You will go for your PIN code, and only the two people with the same code can change or can change something in the blockchain. Now, the blockchain itself is can be very complex. You can have what maybe people heard about the Bitcoin. The Bitcoin is a public blockchain, is a very big blockchain, and you can go for a very small blockchain. And the very small blockchain has not the same security as the big one, because the big one, you have 500 different or 5,000 different computers. If you have a small blockchain, you only have maybe 5 or 10 different computers in which you have the same transaction.
Kees, I'm going to interrupt you because with an eye on the time.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, maybe, is your research more focused on the process of adaptation, such a new technology like blockchain, and in the future other technologies, or are you specifically zooming in on what the blockchain can do, for example, with these coffee bean supply chain?
I'm not looking for the blockchain itself. I'm looking for the implementation phases before implementing the blockchain. So I concentrate on one technology, the blockchain, because it is not like an ERP system what is centralized, what is within an organization. The blockchain itself is going over the organizations. So the case I talk about had to do with the farmer in Peru, had to do with the producer in Peru, but also with the transportation to Germany, and from Germany to the Netherlands. So I'm looking over the whole supply chain and not only one. And especially the first part, the implementation, is for me important to help managers, organizations to implement this new technology.
And to what extent is blockchain then different in this implementation phase than other technologies that we have seen coming, like the internet?
About the internet, there will be not really that much difference, but if you look for implementations what are very common for businesses, like an ERP system or a human resource system, that is all related to one organization. And as well the internet, but also the blockchain is decentralized and is going over the organizations. And you have to talk, and that's also you have to do with different stakeholders, and the different stakeholders make it complex, because I have to talk with the customs, I have to talk with the farmer, I have to talk with transportation, and they have to be integrated in my blockchain.
Perfect. I'm going to stop you there. I'm going to ask Kristen to come back on
I could
on
talk
stage.
a lot more, ladies and gentlemen. I trained myself to figure it out in 5 minutes, but it was impossible.
I'm going to ask the room if you have any questions to these researchers. Is there anyone who has a question?
Oh.
Kees,
can you give me a headset? I can't hear any. Do you have a headset? Thank you.
Kees, one of the things you said is, I want your help with the research. What's your question to the audience?
I talked about the blockchain. I talked about the conditions to implement a blockchain. Can you help me? What kind of conditions a company had to think of for implementing a blockchain? And conditions will be the technical part, the skills from your employees, also the computer skills, but also the computers itself. Maybe you can think of other things. I have more, but maybe you can help me.
We have a question here.
It is about innovative organizations.
Yes.
That is a condition.
Yeah.
There is done quite a lot of research.
Yeah.
And you have need the organization, the right organization before implementing. So that's a condition, I think. How you think about that?
We've thought about it, yes. Yeah, the organization itself must be ready for the innovation. That's true. Because if an organization has not the interest and has not the expertise, you cannot implement it. But yeah, the right organization.
Christian, I also want to ask you. Do you also have a question to the audience? Is there any possible way that the audience could help you with getting this to the market? Do you have a question for them?
Yeah.
This is your chance.
Yeah. Do you think that this design could have any drawbacks? That it, for example, could hinder the movement of the children during the exercises?
Any issues that people in the room see with this wonderful suit? Madam.
The straps around the calves, don't they drop down?
No, they are attached very firmly. I can also show you.
Please do.
Yeah. So it has a special non-slippery foam layer, and the sensors are of this size and have this Velcro back. And when you put it here, it is very firm. So everywhere on the body it should be very firm. And here we also have it integrated in special pockets.
How long does it take to test a child who's wearing this suit?
Yeah, we had a trial where we put it on a child that was a little bit too big for the suit, so it took us very long to get it into the suit because it was so tight. But if it fits correctly, it doesn't take much longer than putting on normal sportswear, and then wrapping the wraps around should take about 1 minute.
And then afterwards, then already the testing starts? Or
yeah, then you only need a short calibration period of like 20 seconds, and then you can directly start.
And the testing period itself, how long will this take?
So this assessment takes 20 to 40 minutes, and that's also the reason why we wanted to make it more fun for the children, because it is quite an invasive situation for them, and they might get easily bored during the exercises.
And did they have fun?
Yeah, they really like the superhero design, because really boys and also girls are very much into it at the moment.
Okay, that sounds interesting. Any other questions from the audience? Sir.
Yeah, hello. So I thought Smart Solutions is also about interdisciplinary work. So what is the multidisciplinary aspect? Because I see two individuals presenting, but there is a world behind it, I guess. So please, could you explain?
What we see in this situation is that we have to do with implementations, and even now, if you look for the implementation of a new technique for children, you have to think of your stakeholders to make sure that this will be executed in the long term, that we have people investing in this. You need money, you need funding, so you also need in the implementation phase to think of not only the technical part and also the implementation within one organization, but also how can you sell it, what can you sell, and what kind of information our customers need. So I believe in the implementation phase is also thinking of the extra things, the information and the skills of your employees, your stakeholders. Is that something you're not asking for?
You still want to say something about this?
Yeah, so my question is, on this stage, how is it interdisciplinary, or is it just two individual projects?
two individual projects.
Yeah.
There's no direct relation between us before.
Exactly. What can you say something about the interdisciplinary part of your work?
Yes, because I'm actually a textile technology student and I'm more into fashion. And now I looked a lot into health studies and also into sensor integration. So it was very technological for me, which was something totally new. And yeah, I had to combine all these different aspects, and I learned a lot during this phase because I also saw how you can implement textiles to give them a new purpose and not just look pretty, but also really help in health studies.
And what was the most challenging part in this for you as a fashion researcher?
In the beginning, the most challenging thing was to really understand how these sensors work and what needs to be considered. Because I had to read a lot into how inertial magnetic measurements units work, and that was something totally different for me.
In the room, any other questions? Kees, you still want to say something, or?
No. Thanks. Thank you. No.
Because we still have a few minutes, so if there's still something you want to ask or to the audience, this is the moment.
No, I have no specific question.
No specific question. Is there something else you want to explain about blockchain, about your research, where it's going to, Kees?
The only thing I like to explain, to add to it, is I didn't come up to why we should introduce blockchain, the added value. The blockchain had the idea behind that we can deduct our third parties, like a bank or other intermediary. So we can work more efficient, and if you can work more efficient, you can deduct your cost. If we look for the beans from Peru, they believe, or we believe now when we did the research, that we can shorten the supply chain. Normally it is about 3 months, and we can shorten it about 4 to 5 weeks to make sure that all the correct information is there. Information is available for the customers, but also for the people within the blockchain working, like the farmers, the producers, logistics, customs. We don't need to have to send all the paperwork, all the documents from one place to another place. So what we believe now is that we can shorten the period of it by approximately 40%. Now that reduces the cost, add value, and the owner of the company who started this believes in fair trade, and he said, okay, I like to not to go for a lower price, but I like to give this money, the value of what we will save. We like to give it back to farmers and the producers in this situation in a third country. So there's not only a business solution behind, but also the idea of helping other parties. So I was very interested in this project, not only for as a controller. I look for the facts, but he was also looking for the ethical aspects. And I believe if you can do it like this, then a blockchain can also help the environment, the people.
So in a very broad way, both of you are doing very relevant applied research.
I hope so.
Both for businesses and for, in this case, coffee growers, and for you with children and measuring and making it much more fun in such a suit. I would like to thank you both. We have to finish up, and we're going to the next round. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.